Okay, YouTube keeps, recommending videos of Thomas Sowell. They keep popping up. And I hear his stupid ideas all over the place, so, I have to do some more debunking.
About which is affirmative action.
Exactly the same
How does
thing.
that process? What's the 1, 2, 3, 4 on that?
I haven't worked it out like that, but certainly there is no interest whatever in finding out empirically whether things have been made better or worse for minorities as a result of this program. And in fact, if you bring them up evidence, they'll say, but things would have been even worse had we not done this. Similarly with the war on poverty, you can show how dependency on government was going down, poverty was going down before this program was ever put in. And within a few years, dependence on government was going up, and after a few more years, the absolute number of people in poverty was going up.
Yeah, I read that in your book, but the absolute number of poverty is not the data. The relevant data would be the rate of poverty.
Okay, so this is an example of how the rate is what matters, not the absolute number, because the population of the United States is growing. I wonder how many Thomas Sowell fans noticed that.
The rate of poverty, in fact, in the 1970s, I worked for President Johnson, so we have to establish there. So I mean, the line we took was that during the 1960s, during the Kennedy-Johnson administration, poverty did in fact go down sharply.
So you notice that even Thomas Sowell acknowledges that the rate of poverty went down.
And then the rate since then, not the absolute number because the country has grown larger, the rate has sort of bounced around at about flat, somewhere between 12 and 15%.
Yes, but don't forget, this was sold to the country, not on the grounds that if you transferred money from A to B, that B would have more money. That was not the argument. The argument was that dependency would be reduced, that you would, quote, invest in people, as Bill Clinton is now saying, now that people have forgotten what was said in the 60s.
Okay, so he got debunked and called out, and now he's moving the goalposts. Very honest.
So what is your problem that liberals said we ought to create programs for opportunity? And in point of fact, I mean, I won't say play devil's advocate, because I mean, a lot of the things that came out of the Great Society, I mean, building all those junior colleges and community colleges.
Oh, I would disagree entirely. I think it was a tragedy of the first magnitude.
That was a tragedy.
Yes.
Why is that a tragedy?
You have millions of people who have absolutely no desire for an education, using up billions of dollars of the taxpayers' money, and not only not getting an education themselves, making it more difficult to give an education to those people who came to college with an idea of getting one.
Okay, so he hates community colleges, and he thinks people getting an education makes it harder for other people to get an education. It doesn't make any sense, but, that's Thomas Sowell for you.
Herding them into these community colleges and into the junior colleges and into the state university. I mean, they have a desire, obviously.
No, they do not, obviously, because lots of things go on in those places that are not education. I mean, where else can you find so many young people of the same age and opposite sex in one place? A nice, convenient place to be. But anyone who is taught in a lot of these places, this ferocious desire for education as such is not terribly visible. And I taught at places where we've gotten, the upper 10, 15% of students. I mean, UCLA and whatnot. Neither I nor my colleagues found this great desire for education as such. They wanted to be in ivy-covered buildings for 4 years in order to get more money when they graduate and have a good time while they're there.
So, here he's going on about, if someone has a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever, that means they're not interested in education. And he also seems kind of butthurt that students didn't like his class, apparently.
Kids who do not have the money to go to Amherst or wherever to start a college education. I mean,
people did that before the Great Society. I did it before the Great Society. My whole generation did it before the Great Society.
Okay, and here he kind of reminds me of Bill Cosby. It's this whole pick yourself up by the bootstraps, no one helped me type mentality, and everyone in my generation did it, which, it's all BS, but, we'll see more of that. Just be patient.
Eddie brought Tom here to the Harlem Public Library, taught him how to find books that interested him, taught him how to check them out.
And I saw all these books, and I had no idea why we were there when I don't have any money to buy one book. And so what am I going to do with all these, hundreds of books up on the shelf?
Crossing the threshold to this new world was the first step on a path young Tommy might not otherwise have taken.
And he very patiently walked me through the whole thing. And again, I was very reluctant to take out a library card because I didn't know what all this is about. But he talked me into it. Then I borrowed a couple of books. And really, had I not encountered him, the entire rest of the story could not have been the way it was. I mean, at some point, I would have learned what a public library was. But by that point, it would be too late.
Okay, and did you see that? Here he is talking about how this library changed his mind. But what is a library? A library is basically free books. You know, you check out a book, you don't have to buy it. But, you know, beforehand he was talking about, oh, you know, no one thirsts for knowledge. So, you know, we shouldn't subsidize education, you know, just screw the generations that come after me, even though I benefited from free knowledge. You know, he's really a scumbag. And, you know, anyone who takes him seriously, I think, is kind of a stupid person.
Well,
if you think,
suppose they are thirsting for a better job, and we've set up a society where you have to be credentialed with a certain amount of college, so aren't they able to get a better job?
No,
because
this
of their
is the fallacy of composition. You know, if one person stands up in the stadium, he sees the game better. But if they all stand up, they don't all see the game better. As long as, you know, if you have a degree and the other guy doesn't, then you get ahead of him in the employment line. But we're not going to all get ahead of each other in the employment line by all getting degrees.
And in this final clip, you know, you kind of get the essence of Thomas Sowell. You know, he doesn't believe you can improve society or anything like that. You know, all he believes is, you know, I don't want you to get in front of me in the line, so I'm going to keep you down, I'm going to keep you back, I'm going to keep my boot on your neck. You know, it's just kind of a bad person, you know, kind of bad for society. And, you know, at this point I have to say, you know, anyone who thinks of him as a great intellectual, you know, what the hell is wrong with you? Anyway, that's the video. Have a nice day.